3,000 combat power, just over 23,000 lucent made with 100 sales in the auction house, and over 171 hours spent that I will never get back. This is 10-ish tips that you need to help you grow in Throne and Liberty. If you go to the Stoneguard Castle and then go to the senior Sundries crafter Melissa, she actually sells something that's very interesting that most people don't know about. This is like a gladiator's PvP trinket in World of Warcraft. It is not consumed when used. It removes certain CC effects applied by other players, and it even says it. It removes bind, silence, sleep, and stun. This is absolutely huge and a must-have in PvP, and you can see the needs to craft it right over here. It's just a bunch of these precious rubrics, and then 60 of these aggregate, but these aggregates with their border can also be bought on the auction house. You may also notice that the Sundries crafter sells these very specific scrolls, but how do you get allied forces seals? Like many things, you can dissolve scrolls as well. If you go to one of your scrolls, like let's say the Shadow Crypt, click on dissolve, you'll notice that you get 10 allied forces seals for 2 of those scrolls, meaning that if you want to do a specific scroll crafted by the Sundries crafter, you're going to have to trade 2 scrolls that you already have for 10 of these to make one of those. If you notice, one of these takes 10 seals, so not recommended right now, but if you want a chance at a specific piece of gear from one of those open world dungeons, this is how you do it. There's a way to supercharge your trait leveling without spending a ton of lucent, because as a free-to-play player, we have to figure out a way to navigate that swiping requirement. So let's take these flamer up bindings. A lot of the times you're going to have a trait that you don't really want, but it's going to come in handy here. So these flamer up bindings came out with bind resistance on them, and then I put the max health. Well, max health and bind resistance are extremely different when it comes to cost. So let's go to rare, let's go to max health, swap it to accessories and throw it on the belt. It's 419 lucent for 1 blue trait of max health on the belt. However, if we go all the way to bind resistance, we can see that bind resistance is only 20 to 30 lucent each, which is extremely cheap. So we can feed all of these extremely cheap traits into it to get the blessing up, and then go back and only purchase 1 of the max health, and it will give it to us using our blessing. So make sure we go to belt. So we're only going to have to use 1 of these instead of having to use a ton of these. We can feed a cheaper trait and then use the blessing to up the chance on the more expensive trait. The Sundries merchant inside of Stoneguard Castle is going to have a weekly limit of 6 of these scrolls and 3 of the tower scrolls. Make sure you grab them. The contract coin merchant is going to sell 1 of these precious blessing pouches every single day. Now these have a chance for gear, which you can turn into traits and sell in the auction house, but they're also going to give you those scrolls when you use them. So you can see we got 2 scrolls right here, which we can use or break down into 1 scroll of our choosing. Going into the shop and using the ornate coins, which is the currency we get from finding books or notes around the world, or we get in the mail after downtime, we can get 15 of these precious blessing pouches per month, more scrolls, more chances at gear. While the resistance contracts are limited to a refill of 10 per day, we can go into the battle pass, into the Zenith Star Shop, and we can buy bundles of these extra count passes. Each bundle for 300 of the battle pass currency will give us 10 extra resistance contract passes, which comes out to 500 abyssal currency. If you run out of the star crystal, but you have a bunch of lucent, you can click this little plus right here and pretty much make it a 1-to-1 trade of lucent for star crystals. Go to the guild merchant every single day and buy your dailies. These are things that you are going to run out of eventually. I buy all 10 of these, all 3 of these, and all 4 of these every single day. These are the most important. It's not going to be long before you have 40 abyss currency. This is the currency you get from doing the open world dungeon contracts like Saradoma Island and Salus Abyss. So let's go ahead and say you really want this etched alabaster band. Well, if this is a piece of gear you want to use, you should not get it out of this abyss currency. What you should do is get something like Staff of the Umbromancer instead, and this depends on your server, so listen closely. I'm going to go ahead and go to the auction house right now and look at these lithographs. While we can't make lithographs for blue items, we certainly can make it for the purple items. Let me go ahead and show you that the etched alabaster band is only 888 lucent right now. But Staff of the Umbromancer is considerably more at 1800, which means after this 22%, if we sell this at 1800, we're going to be right around 1400 lucent profit. Well, what do we do with that? We take our 1400 lucent profit, buy this for essentially 900, and pocket the 500 for traits. In the Stoneguard Castle, we can craft all of these lithographs to imprint weapons or gear onto. Of course, it's according. The weapon crafter sells the precious blank lithograph for weapons, requiring the ink. The armor crafter sells the one for armor, and the accessories for the accessories. The enchanted ink, along with the blessing pouches, can be purchased with ornate coins for 5 each at a monthly limit of what I believe was 50. The contract coin merchant is also going to give you a weekly limit of 50 of these inks, bringing your total up to 100. Now, the weapon lithographs take 50 of them. The accessories and armor only take 25 each, which means you can do 4 accessory armor, 2 weapons, 1 weapon, 1 armor, 1 accessory. But while we're here, we want to make sure every single day we buy all of our mystic keys. Using our mystic keys, we can go around the map and look for these mystic globe icons. We want to make sure we do these 5 every single day, or at least we do all 5 every day for the week, even if we do them on one day, but those keys do expire. Opening these smaller globes give us a chance to spawn a mystic portal. My favorite place to do these every single day is the Grey Claw Forest. They're usually just sitting up on these rocks, and you can go in a straight line and get all 5 done in about 5 minutes. When you're opening those little globes, you have a chance to spawn a big mystic portal. Now, this portal will actually show up on your minimap. It won't show you where the mystic globe is, but finding it is going to give you some really good rewards. And I've received up to 8 of these trade extraction stones just for one of those portals. If we go all the way back to Castleton, where we first started our adventure, and we run all the way north of the city where we see the practice dummies and Gertrude, we also have the Arena Sundries merchant, which for 9 arena tokens will sell a really nice bracelet, or for 3 will sell a precious blessing pouch. Now, as it is, you can only get 6 of these per week by going into Arena and seeing the acquired arena victories over here to the right. The first one will give 3, the second one will give 2, and the final one will only give 1, meaning you can get 6 for each weekly objective. These of course feed the PvP tab inside of Arena, but if you want to see exactly what the rewards are, you can of course click the percentage signs, as each section is different, and if you're only going to have a little bit of time to farm, you can see exactly which section you want to farm out for the week. Not all contracts are created equal. As you can see, this Phonos Basin has an eye. This is all rank 1 contracts. If you have to take a rank 1 contract, you definitely can, but you should prioritize things like the rare base material selection chests and the rare polished crystals. These are things you're quickly going to run out as you progress. However, if we click on one of these resistance force contracts, you'll see that the tier is much higher. And you can't only get a higher tier out of one of these contracts while it is guaranteed, you can also come across these higher tier contracts if you're looking for them and know about them from each of the contract managers. Of course, the contract managers in lower level areas are going to give worse contracts. My favorite ones to do are in Grey Claw Forest or a Pure Light Tower. If you ever click one of the scrolls in your inventory, you don't accept it, and you close it, that scroll is going to still count as one of your active contracts. At any time, you can go to content details, and then from here get back to refreshing or accepting as you please. Those are a few of the tips that help me as a free-to-play player get up to 3,000 combat power. Now, I'm starting to run out of things to do in this game, so I'm very excited for some updates, as we know a lot of the map is still grayed out or blacked out, and we don't have access to it yet, and we are still unlocking things like world bosses, guild events, and we haven't even seen the Stoneguard Castle Siege yet, which I'm sure will be controlled by the same guild every single week, but it's gonna be fun to see it. I guess now the only thing to do is to dive into arenas. If you have any questions or want to see more videos like this, drop a comment, drop a like. No need to subscribe, I just enjoy you hanging out. Until next time, I'll see you later.